name on there too. Make sure we can get it on there. Just write it anywhere and I'll see it. Yeah. Might as well get that tax break.
Getting ready to set up the obstacle course for you. Good job. Welcome, everyone, and we're so happy to have you here this afternoon for our fellowship for today, Sunday service. We have people watching online. Welcome to all of you as well. And we bring them, all of us, together into this room of loving energy. We're going to sing our opening song right now. If you would stand, the song words are right on the front of your songbook, and this is what we begin our service with.
Source of love, you flow through me.
prayer. Close your eyes and just let your shoulders drop. As we leave behind all the busyness of the day and bring ourselves fully into this room together. Let's take 2 deep breaths together. Breathing in and releasing out. Breathing in and out. And let's bring our minds down into our hearts. And put your hand on your heart. As we bring our full attention to this sacred heart space, I invite you to take on my words if they resonate with you. From this heart space, this vibration of love, I bring my full consciousness, my full awareness to the one divine presence, God, divine love, creative intelligence, our source. And I acknowledge the truth of who I am. I am one with this loving presence. I live, love, move, and have my being in the unlimited grace of divine love. I am aware of divine guidance, and my life is filled with divine right action. I am perfect wholeness and well-being. And I commit to demonstrating kindness and compassion and love in my life. I commit to demonstrating health and well-being in my life. I belong to the one universal power of love. And I extend this love out to all beings on this beautiful planet. I affirm that all is well. And together we say, and so it is. We're going to stand again and sing a fellowship song together. We're going to do 2 of these stanzas. It's the I Am chant on page 17. And we're just going to do I am love and I am one. So please stand if you are able and join class. Julie is in her third year of the Fellowship School of Ministry, and she is gracing us today with some of her gorgeous, gorgeous music. So let's give her a welcome.
I'll be playing 2 songs today. This first song you'll hear was not written by me. However, I wanted to share it with you today, especially since we just had a full moon. I think it was last night with me. This song is called Kiss the Earth. It was written by a woman named Ajit Kuwar. And it is a song to connect us to the moon, to the grandmother guiding wisdom. It's about letting go and embracing the magical mystery of life. Walk quietly, my love. Let's kiss the earth we walk upon with our steps. The moon, she shines in the silence of your mind. Close your eyes. What is the sound of the song in your heart? Listen close. Dance wildly, my love. Let's throw our songs into the wind and let them echo, echo, echo. La
it's when we pause and fill our hearts with gratitude. We fill our hearts with gratitude for all of the abundance and blessings in our lives. They are everywhere around us. And we open our eyes and our hearts to let them in, to see them, and to bring them into our lives. We are so grateful for the generosity of all of those who make donations to our fellowship, and so grateful that all of you continue to support this wonderful spiritual community. And I guess I'll have to say it one more time. We're in our 40th year. And that's just amazing. It's something to really celebrate. So Jenna's going to bring around the basket. And I also want to remind you, if you have prayer cards, to please drop those in the basket as well. They're in your bulletin packet. Many of you make your donation online, and many of you make it here today at Sunday service. But however you manage to make this contribution to the fellowship, hold this contribution in consciousness at this time. And if you'll bring out your bulletins, I invite you to join me with the blessing of our tithes and offerings. Thank you, Jen. The light of divine love shines eternally, blessing and multiplying our tithes and offerings. I joyously give, knowing I always have enough to share and to spare. And I invite you to close your eyes one more time as we think about those who have been named and are in our basket today for community prayer. We hold all beings close to our hearts. Beings in need. We extend our love and our compassion and our vision, seeing them as love sees them, whole and healthy. With calm minds, clarity and wisdom, finding their way to the solutions to the problems in their lives. We extend our love. And together we say, and so it is. Thank you. One more song together. Please turn to page 30. And we certainly know this at the fellowship. The title of the song is Love is the Answer. So if you are able, please stand and we'll sing this together.
There's nowhere to run. Those I don't have to be. Hello, everyone. And this is my great privilege to introduce my dear friend, Jennifer Lenders, and a friend and yoga teacher from Ann Arbor. She came all the way up to be with us today. Jennifer, I'll just share a little bit. I could stay up here for quite a while, actually, but I'll make it brief because I really want to hear her talk. She's been teaching yoga, meditation for the last over 18 years. She also teaches at Schoolcraft College. She teaches at the cardio rehab at St. Joseph's, and I could go on and on. I do love one of her former teachers gave Jennifer the name Karuna, a Pali word for compassion. And I can't think of a better word that would describe this gentle, wise, loving soul. So I think that word covers it. So great big hand for Jennifer, please.
Okay, get all set up here. That's okay. So we're gonna just start with a short meditation, and so we can kind of get a little taste of yoga and a few of the tools, and kind of drop you into the space of yoga. And so I just invite you to find your comfortable seat. Maybe find your feet steady and stable on the floor. Just notice if your hips are comfortable, your knees, your joints. Take your little time. Yeah. So take your time and just do a little check-in. Am I comfortable? So are my hands landing in my lap in a way that my shoulders feel comfortable and relaxed? Is my body relaxed and at ease? Just take a little breath in and a breath out. Find yourself arriving here, and if you'd like, just kind of sense yourself from the inside out. The you-ness of you. The flavor of what it is to be you right here, seated in this chair, in this moment. And in this moment, relating to what's happening around you in every moment. The uniqueness of your experience of being right here in the present moment. As you take a breath or two, you might notice there's different things happening. There might be activity or just lethargy. There might be lightness or brightness. Different qualities that we each have. And just begin to notice, is the breath moving in through the nose and out through the nose? There's subtle sensations of breathing, maybe a lightness on the in-breath, maybe a softness or an ease on the out-breath. You might even notice one of your nostrils more clear than the other. Maybe one side is more open. You can just notice that. So without needing to fix or change anything, just start to just kind of feel that breath guide some movement. So as you're breathing in, we're going to start to imagine this halo above our head. And just gently start to circle your torso, circle your body as if tracing that halo above your head. It could be little micro movements, very small. Could be you're really feeling your whole torso kind of creating a circle. And on the in-breath, you're circling back. As you're breathing out, you're circling forward. And see if you can stay with that rhythm of your breath, circling of your head, tracing of the halo. Nothing forced or strained. You're just feeling the motion of your body with your breath, united as one. And you could stay with that for a bit, or you might even want to add a humming sound as you exhale. So it could sound You might find you want to change the direction of your circle and try the other way. And change the pitch of your hum to a level that feels right for you. If it feels soothing, just continue to hum. If it feels soothing to just be still, you could be still. Just letting the vibration kind of create any soothing balm for the system. When you feel like that is complete or enough, you could just come back to a stillness and just rest for a moment and pause and just notice your natural breath. Just moving in through the nose and out through the nose. And again, just noticing the you-ness that is present, the internal state of you. And when you're ready, you can just come back to the space around you and just see how you feel. Different practices affect different people in different ways, so just notice that. Just kind of notice, how was that? Okay, so just a little humming bee breath was what that was, and linking our breath with the movement. So it's really integral for a yoga class, and why that is, I'll get into that a little bit more. But that was just a little sprinkling of how yoga kind of impacts us or shifts us, and so. So the title of my talk today, being Shaping Our Experience, is that what I've found, and most of my talk is going to be based on my experience with yoga and how I've noticed it with patients in cardiac rehab and different students over the years that I've worked with privately and in my own practice. So, and how that relates to spirituality. So the title of the talk, Shaping Our Experience, I think is, really the most important part of yoga that we don't get from most yoga studios or a lot of yoga studios. We get the kind of the fitness side and, wanting to be flexible but the roots, the ancient wisdom of yoga is that, we can shape our experience. We can shape our relationship to being human and being alive in this world and build a relationship to the divine that is in all of us. And so the tools of yoga, are meant to bring us into relationship with this body, with this mind, with our breath, with our wise self, our wisdom, and then with our what's called the bliss body or ananda, which is a word that means our connection to the wholeness of everything. And so a lot of what we notice day to day is, we probably notice, we're constantly trying to find balance in our lives, right? Our systems and I'm going to kind of just say the points I'm going to make throughout this, just to kind of give you an idea of where this is headed, and then hopefully I get there, because sometimes I'm like, wow, I pick really complicated things to talk about, right? So, but I don't know. Kashi and I were talking on the way up. We're like, somehow we just like the challenges, like to see if we can actually do it, right? But relating to ourselves, knowing ourselves as, sometimes I'm feeling very energized and very active and mobilized, and other times I feel real immobilized and shut down. And other times I feel I'm really in this space of discernment, like clarity and balance, and some blend of all those, right? And so I'm not going to get into polyvagal theory and what our nervous system is doing and all that, but science tells us, yes, these states all are part of our nervous system balancing. That leads to another point of what happens to our thoughts, our beliefs, our stories in our head that come up when we're in these states. How is it that when we shift those states of being, how does that affect our story? I mean, I'll come back to this, but I was just noticing on the way here how I thought about the snow. It was like if I thought about it from a place of, oh no, the roads are bad, you know, and start to get like really mobilized and active, then, you know, survival thinking steps in, the survival brain, and then all the possibilities start coming out, right? But if we come to a place of more calm balance, it's like, no, I can kind of see smooth ride. You know, I can see that. So my story can shift a little bit, and I can kind of discern better what's coming. So we're going to get to that point, and then yoga tools and techniques. You know, they provide a back door to this nervous system, these changing states. They provide a way to have a tool to shift us from mobilization or immobilization or shutdown into discernment, peace, illumination at any time. And what I'm really curious about, I've been curious about, I think, since the beginning of this yoga journey is, you know, how do we live with suffering? And even at the worst points in our life, how can we come to peace? And both the songs, all the songs we're singing today about, you know, the mystery of life, I think that's why we're all here, right? How do we live with this mystery of both suffering and wanting to just be alive too, right? We don't want to shut down and not live. So, how yoga provides this, even, you know, when I work with people who have had open heart surgery or, you know, some really major health things happening. So I'll give some examples of that, and then my own kind of observations of my own journey and how it's helped me to shift my story over the years, and how that happens. So that's where we're headed with all this, the neat thing, I think, where I come back to this, you know, real love of the tools of yoga to shift these states is the language also. You know, we can use science, we can use nervous system balancing, we can use, you know, the tools to shift those states in that way, but we can also realize that, you know, yoga provides us the language of this body is really, you know, contains everything in the macrocosm. So we are the microcosm of the macrocosm. So, you know, some of the ancient wisdom is, in Sanskrit, the term is the gunas. The gunas are tamas, rajas, and sattva, which I won't say a whole lot about those in particular, except they coincide with nervous system balance, and that everywhere in the universe contains mobilization, immobilization, and illumination or discernment. So if you look at the planet, there's storms, there's rivers, there's floods, there's brightness, and if you look outside, there's frozen hibernation, shutdown, even with animals in the wintertime. And so the point is that, you know, these are natural states. This is life moving through us. This is nature. This is, and we tend to make stories about when we're in shutdown, or we make stories about when we can't settle ourselves down, or we're anxious or have anxiety. Sorry, I'm losing my voice. I'm not sure why today, except hopefully, yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. So, so with these states, so yoga also provides us with this idea that, you know, these naturally shifting states we have are not only in our physical being, where We might have depression, anxiety. We might have discernment. Thank you, gosh. But we can also notice that in our breathing, sometimes in our breath gets shallow and tight. Sometimes we breathe deep, and sometimes we can barely breathe, right? So there's the shifting states are in our breath body, so our energetic body. We also might notice our mind states shifting all the time. We can go from a really rapid changing and shifting mind. You might notice looping or rumination or constant activity. You might notice sometimes like, oh, I just can't think at all. My mind is just kind of shut down. And other times you feel like, wow, I can really see clearly. I really, notice in my mind that things are clear. And again, yoga has tools to kind of shift us back to that clarity, brightness, illumination, peaceful state of being. And the other layers of wisdom and our spiritual connection also have those shifting states. Sometimes we lock down on our wisdom, our belief system. Like we might be like, not going to change my beliefs at all, and that might even not be serving us well, what we're believing about our life, but we're stuck there. So, and sometimes we're like, in the state of real activity, of searching, of guiding ourselves towards what we need to learn. So we can be in all these different states. And what I'm going to suggest is that it's how we relate to those states. Like, do we start judging ourselves? Do we start blaming ourselves or shutting down? Or do we relate to these changing states as a natural way that life is just happening all the time? Life is just here. It can be a mystery to why our states are the way they are. We might go long periods of time where we're really kind of shut down and needing hibernation. So, let's see. So how does that look? How does that, and why is that important? I'm going to give you some examples of some patients I've worked with and how yoga changed their relationship. This first example is, how did yoga change their relationship to their body when it was in a lot of suffering? And yeah. So this first one, George, changed the names, of course, is retired and a lifelong self-proclaimed drinker and smoker. He is having many challenges of surviving a heart attack, including feeling body betrayal and emotional upheaval that he can't avoid addressing. He attended yoga as part of his cardiac rehab program. In his first class, he was guided to be curious and compassionate. So words, what I observed was probably never in his vocabulary or even suggested to him that he could kind of refer to the body in a curious and compassionate way. And so he was guided to be curious and compassionate and exploring the link of the body with the breath, just kind of uniting that together. And after class, we have the opportunity to observe or make comments. And so after class, he was the first to say, "I never realized that you could look at your body and your mind and all the changing sensation from an objective perspective. Like you could stand back and just witness your body and your mind. And he said, you know, it's a new feeling and experience. And he said, all I ever do is focus outwardly. And I still feel like my body betrayed me in this, but I can now start to be curious about it and maybe investigate a little further. And so it gave him a pause. It gave him a moment of discernment, of clarity, where he could see a bigger picture was possible. And a new relationship to the body. So the body betrayal was, he felt a little space around that body betrayal. And so the idea is that now his story changed a little bit. So his story is changing. Bit by bit, class by class, moment by moment. So one example. And so how does yoga, so also it can, change our relationship to our mind and our emotions and our belief system. So how are we observing our thoughts and our beliefs? Are we, do we have certain stories that we're continuing to run in our head? And this example of Michael, who had bypass surgery and was suffering from a loss of feeling in both feet, which occurred promptly after he lost his mother. And he, came to the yoga class in a very active, mobilized state. So those states we call anxiety, but it's more, it's our nervous system in mobilization. So he came to the class really mobilized, always active. You could tell he was, just on task, one thing after another, and had been for months. And so throughout the yoga class, we used breath and movement. We used a slow, gentle guide to compassion and curiosity and approaching the body. And so in the middle of class, I noticed he started clutching his legs and his feet. And I paused the class. I said, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "I'm just feeling a lot of pain." And he hadn't been feeling his feet at all. So what I observe, is when we do kind of come to a gentle, compassionate approach to this physical being and this mind, that he had a little opening into his grief. He had his mother had been his best friend, and the feeling in his feet went the day after she died. So by coming to that place of balance or discernment or clarity, rather than in that mobilized, anxious state, his body, he was for a moment able to come in contact with the pain, which started to release from his body. So a different relationship now to mind and emotions, right? So it changed the relationship to grief, which he hadn't had any relationship with at all. So working with that ability to shift to self-compassion, self-love, allowing us to process things, to move them through us, was evident there. So shifting our relationship to our belief system or our connection to the whole. So I had another example in mind of, sometimes we don't really think we can get a connection to feeling wholeness or a sense of well-being. especially if we've had major health event or any other suffering, how do we come back to wholeness or a sense of well-being? And yoga therapy has is kind of using the term eudaimonia, which is, I think, of Latin or Greek origin. And eudaimonia is just a sense that, we have well-being amidst suffering. We have this sense that we're whole no matter what, regardless of what's happening in our lives. So this last example, I thought was a really good one for kind of, changing our relationship to, can we really feel a sense of well-being, even when there's suffering, even when we're going through hard times, either mentally, emotionally, or physically. How do we bring a container of wholeness or well-being around it? And, for those of us that are on a spiritual path, we have language for that. Many people don't have language for that holding or that comfort or that love, but they might be able to find a moment of just well-being, which can change the story. So I had another person who had some difficulties with breath and had part of her diaphragm that was inactive, so her full diaphragmatic breathing was not taking place, and she was working on it, but anytime we talked about or practiced breathing would bring on some panic or some anxiety or mobilization. And she just said, I used to do this, I used to do that, all the things I used to do, and, I enjoyed and were fun and, lifted me up and were exciting. And so she was remembering that state of bliss and that state of just sense of wholeness and well-being, but her relationship to it was, I'll never be there again. I'll never feel that again. I'll never feel whole. And so the yoga class, it was a tricky one to teach because for people that, when the breath part is causing the anxiety, then we really don't want to focus on the breath. So we did some other tools, some other things, some more physical, just being with the body, the physical movement, noticing it, being mindful of it. And we did some movements with the arms that were, overhead. And at the end of class, she came up and observed, she goes, I remembered how it felt to be, she took ballet her whole life. She's like, I just remembered how it was in ballet, just to feel my body moving, and I was relaxed and I could remember. And so she said, I think I'm going to make a goal of attending a Zumba class. And she goes, I don't know when. It might be a year from now, or it might be, who knows when. I said, well, when you go, come get me, because I like Zumba. I'll go with you. But she was able to create that connection to remembering possible connection to feeling a sense of well-being. So, some of us might call that, an opening to the divine, or an opening to, God, Goddess, Mother Earth, the holding place. But to her, it was just like, I felt a little bit of well-being. I just felt like around this problem, I could get some space. So it changed her relationship to that bliss body. It's called in yoga a kosha, the koshas. That's what this is. Why do we want that? Well, when we come back to a sense of well-being, there are all kinds of positive health benefits, but there's also a sense what I'm noticing for myself too is that I'm going to get towards the end of my life and having kind of allowed myself to open to the fullness of life. So not just the joys, but the sufferings as well. And this state of eudaimonia represents a state of human flourishing, a sense of well-being that is non-transitory. It's often connected to a sense of meaning, purpose, and self-realization. So it's a bridgestone. So I often wondered when I started in yoga therapy, I'm like, how am I going to teach, these people who have no experience with yoga at all, may or may not have some religious practice or spirituality, walk in the room and having been through a major heart event. So how do we teach yoga? And luckily, yoga therapy in healthcare I had some really wonderful training, and what comes back to is how can we continue to build awareness? How can we raise our consciousness to our life, a state of our life? Not just the joys and the pleasures, but the sufferings and the discomfort. And turns out science supports that this state of being not only promotes our mental, emotional, physical well-being, but when we're in a state of sattva in Sanskrit, but also in our ventral vagal nervous system, we are in our social engagement system. Anybody know the language of polyvagal theory? Social engagement system is when we are calm, relaxed, and discerning of our states of being. We have clarity. Then we can connect with others deeply. We can relate to others. We can sense others. We're not so tunnel vision in ourselves that we can't see the forest or the trees. We can't relate to others in a way that builds connection and peace and healing. So you recognize that when you're with another person who's in that state of being. Like I rode up with one today. We had a very nice, calm little. But gosh, we recognize when we're in this state of peace within, right? Or a sense of well-being, because there's an opening with another person, right? Engagement system, which means our vagus nerve is wired to, bring us to balance, and our heart rate is in a state of balance, and there's a break on our mobilization and our overactive mind, and our mind is in a nice calm clip. So lots of benefits to kind of bring us back to this state of well-being around our struggles. And I would say, for myself, I came into teaching yoga with concerns about depression and anxiety, and was in my family, and certainly I was concerned about continuing that, I almost said tradition, not tradition, but I guess path, so I was really curious, how can we live in a way, even if there's suffering, and still feel alive and a sense of well-being. And what I have recently noticed, every single time that there is, when I open to the suffering in a compassionate way and address it in a nurturing and a holding and self-love, that I'm rewriting my story over and over again. And my cells are learning that. My cells are learning, you felt like You were, there was a lot of suffering around this incident, but there's also a lot of love and holding that I can give myself and in that moment. And coming back to that sense, I'm okay. I'm always okay, even when there are times of suffering. And so over and over again, as we rewrite our stories, when we go through periods, these shifting states, we can shape our experience to one of, oh yeah, this is nature, this is life happening in me, and not just life happening in me, but I am life. I am walking life, just as it is. And our songs, I think, related to, the mystery of it all, we can kind of open to maybe there aren't answers, and we can stop our struggle for the answers and have moments of just recognizing this is the mystery living through me, the mystery happening all the time. So, I had a little quote here. It's from Thich Nhat Hanh, who said, "Many people are alive, but they don't touch the miracle of being alive." And I think that has a lot to do with how we relate to all these shifting states and the stories we tell about them. And I know I want to be as alive as I can in this lifetime, so I hope when I get to the end I'll be like, all right, I accepted it all, that I am love, and all my experiences were love. So it's kind of where I'm at. So hope I didn't go too far over in time or anything. But so thank you.
In my soul is a flame that burns within me. In my soul is my spirit and the essence of me here. In my soul is my home. I know that I'm spirit and eternal lasting here. For time of learning and the testing soul, I will rise from healing, manifesting joy, peace and love in my heart. There is no more sense of longing in my soul.
yoga and how it relates to your patients and to you as well. And thank you all for being here. Thank you to the virtual watchers as well. Let's form our peace circle and do our closing blessing.
Excuse me.
Is